Welcome, Ross,
Thank you.
to the My Friends Are Awesome, the podcast.
The podcast.
The podcast. I did, we were talking before we started recording, but this was just kind of a recent development, a recent idea. I kind of realized, long story short, that I have just so many awesome friends who are doing awesome things. And I just thought, as we get older too, it kind of gets harder and harder to hang out when we're especially in different places in the world, and we all, start getting married and having kids and all this stuff. So I thought it was also a good way to almost make an excuse to have like a long form conversation with friends and see what they're doing and, update each other on our lives. And if there's other people, interested in what that person's doing, I thought it'd be a good way for them to find you. So that's why I kind of started this thing. And you are honorable guest number one.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me take the first spot. But like you said, it's nice to set some time aside for things like that. We were talking before about getting coffee or doing something else. But yeah, if you just get all the technical stuff right, you sit down for an hour, you end up with a project that you made together.
Yeah.
Maybe has some cool, valuable information in it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Also, having a microphone and captions makes anything you say that much more legitimate.
If you highlight each word along the way,
exactly. Yeah.
Emphasis.
No, it's a weird it's a weird phenomenon. But I think a lot of people who know me know you because we've been musical collaborators for a long time now. But for those who don't know you, I thought it would be good to give like a intro to who you are and what you do. So what I did actually was I asked ChatGPT to write a bio, about you. And so I'm going to read it. I'm just going to read it. And
Okay.
and of course we can make any corrections as needed. But this is what ChatGPT, this is what the if we scour the whole internet, this is the biography that we would come up with for Ross McCallum. All right, here it goes. Ross McCallum is an Australian cajon player and educator, widely recognized for his innovative finger-tapping techniques and for blending the traditional acoustic sound of the cajon with modern music styles. His journey as a musician began with a deep passion for percussion, inspired in part by the renowned drum instructor Mike Johnston's online lessons. Ross took his inspiration and built a successful YouTube channel, now one of the top resources for cajon learners worldwide, with over 110,000 subscribers and 13.4 million views. Beyond his online presence, Ross is a frequent collaborator with musicians across various genres. He has worked with Japanese fingerstyle guitarist T. Coffany and has even produced covers of iconic electronic music tracks like Aphex Twins. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Is it X-Tal or Cross-Tal? X. It's an X and then T-A-L.
I think it's supposed to come out like crystal.
Okay. Well, there you go. Adding his unique cajon-driven rhythms. His playing style draws from a range of influences, including legendary drummers like John Bonham, which can be seen in his live performances and solo recordings. Ross continues to push the boundaries of cajon playing, bringing the instrument into modern musical contexts while staying true to its rich cultural roots. How about that?
Not bad. I think it was interesting. It picked up, I don't know, maybe information from various different places. Some of it sounded like the About section on the YouTube channel.
Right.
Some of it sounded like they found an obscure sound I'd recorded and uploaded to SoundCloud, and then extrapolated that I was influenced by John Bonham because I made a cajon solo.
Right.
That I think maybe I was inspired by like
you're showing
Moby
how
Dick.
you're showing how the sausage is made though right now. It sounds so much better when it's just when it's just the text of the ChatGPT.
Especially if you highlight the words along the way, it'll be good.
Exactly. But I mean, having said that, are these metrics accurate? 110,000 subscribers and 13.4 million views on your videos on YouTube.
I think it's about right. It's about right. The views, always surprisingly high, because when you go to a YouTube channel, you see the number of subscribers.
Yeah.
And then you see the most recent videos, and maybe they don't have a whole lot of traffic to them.
Yeah.
But then you pop into like the about section, which seems to have disappeared. Last I checked, I believe it might be that many views.
I bet you wish you had that many pennies.
If I had a penny for every
No, that's quite an achievement. Even people who know you and who know about your, YouTube journey somewhat. I don't think a lot of people know in depth of like how long you've been doing it and how it started, and so can you tell us a little bit about that? When did you upload your first YouTube video, or do you remember?
Ooh. All right. Well, I mean, there's a little bit that I did before I got into doing the cajon lesson stuff. So music lessons, percussion lessons. I would have been in high school, and it might have been 2007 or 2008. And I invited a friend over to my house, and we'd play some drums and record some videos and just upload them like we had a drum battle, things like that. They're pretty
So you threw
low quality
drums at each other.
Oh yeah, just painfully tried to outdo each other on not very artistic endeavors, but who can play the fastest, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then when I got to university, I had a class where we needed to do a performance on stage, and had a professor who really loved filming all of his students' recordings. All of his students' performances. And giving them to us. And I think most of us thought, well, I'll just, keep it on my hard drive. And I thought, I did have a YouTube channel before. I might just upload it there. And then that started to do pretty well. And then I thought, okay, maybe I can do some lesson videos.
Right.
But yeah, that was 2011, maybe?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you've passed the 10-year mark. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, when you look at the old videos and it says uploaded so many years ago, like I remember seeing things like uploaded 7 years ago, thinking, whoa, it's going to get weird in the future.
I mean, okay, you want to hear something weird? I think Gmail is like trying to convince me to use one of their, I think Gemini or something, trying to convince me to use one of their AI things, and then also it's telling me you got to back up your password, son. Like you gotta but the way they do it is it said, don't lose 18 years of of your data on Gmail. And I was like, holy shit, like I've had this one Gmail address for 18 years. Like, is that possible? And I guess it is. Christina Aguilera just celebrated her 25th anniversary since her debut or something like that.
Whoa.
So
yeah,
I just wanted to fit Christina Aguilera and myself and Gmail all in one breath. So
things with significant anniversaries and
anyway. So I mean, it was back then. It was still kind of like a no man's land, right? YouTube was still like not. I mean, obviously, it wasn't. It's not what it is now. And there weren't a lot of people who were setting examples of what you were doing. I mean, you literally, in that bio, it said, you're one of the leading channels for people to look up how to play the cajon, right? Which is, even if you consider it to be a niche instrument, I mean, it's not really anymore. It's a super prominent instrument. And to be one of the go-to people, that's in the world, right? I mean, that's quite an achievement. So how can you tell us, like, how, I guess you had to set your own goals and figure it out as you went, but what was guiding you throughout the process?
I mean, I'd seen other music lessons of sorts before, because I tried to learn a lot of new tricks and that for playing drums by watching YouTube videos. And so there was always maybe a frame of reference of like what a good lesson video can be. And then I think I tried to apply that, but to what I had some more specific knowledge in.
But were there a lot of music lessons, or were they like clips cut from like DVDs, if that's going to date us, but like instructional DVD, footage uploaded to YouTube? Wasn't like that.
I mean, there's a bit of that. And there were, I think, still, I can probably recall like a few channels. Yeah, I think the ChatGPT mentioned Mike Johnson. But there was another guy like Steve's Drum Shed, I think, and Free Drum Lessons, which became Drumeo. And those guys
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's Jared Falk. And so that was even like 2006, 2007. I think they were looking at it like, this is the new way forward. We're not going to make lesson DVDs anymore. And I think I was on that boat because I knew that I could try and make a lesson DVD. I could then try and take that and try and publish it somewhere, but I thought it's just not, it doesn't feel like the future. And YouTube, having a channel, eventually playlisting things, that always felt like this is how people will want to learn, because it's how I want to learn. So I just want to make something that feels native to me as a learner.
So you were making the shit that you would want for yourself.
Basically, yeah. If I wanted to learn, drums or something, it's like the length of the video, the type of notation that's on the video, the quality, hopefully getting to the point. I'd make little rules for myself, I think. Like, if it's a minute into the video and I haven't started a demonstration, then maybe I've done some waffling somewhere. I want to fix that. So I was always pretty critical. So look back at what I did and compare it against my standards and what else existed.
And I guess there's a lot of numbers and metrics that you can measure the success of your videos. And I put success in air quotes because of, I think the data is like how many seconds it took before people X'd out of the video and things like that. That I think as a musician, it's sometimes hard to accept, because I've seen metrics of, YouTube Music and Spotify and those analytics and stuff as well. But, and TikTok, obviously these days. But a song like, I don't think a song like Bohemian Rhapsody would have survived on any of those platforms, right? Because it has to be like, bam. But yeah, so sorry. You were able to leverage that type of data and create more viewer retention. Is that a word, or is that what's
and
used?
those analytical tools feel like they're reasonably recent things, but for as long as I've been on YouTube, there have been really advanced tools for measuring that stuff. And you can see it on a graph. You can see at what point people stopped watching, and then it's up to you to try and figure out why that might have been. And sometimes I wonder if it's as subtle as like saying, this is going to be quite difficult, and then just using phrases that scare people off. And people are pretty sensitive to their the way they spend their time on any media platform now. It's so easy to be quickly discouraged. So you've got to build up a lot of trust with people before they start watching to the end anyway. Right. So if you're kind of starting out, like, people don't have any time for anything other than exactly what they came for.
Or you flip it around and you start the video by saying, "Nobody can play this cajon solo." And everyone's like, "What?" And then they stay for the, "You'll never believe the most impossible cajon solo there ever is." You know, something like that. I mean, that's the other side of
around that. Yeah, like we'll start to see a lot of content goes in those cycles where people get a little more desperate to hook.
A little more. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but it's crazy out there.
That first frame.
Yeah.
First frame of the video. What can you do, right?
Just scream. Like just scream into the camera. What, with your videos, do you even kind of off the top of your head, do you know when people kind of log off or exit to another video, or what's like the average time that people spend on your videos?
Depends what it is. I think it's usually about half. I don't get people watching like 70%, 80% that often.
Yeah, but your videos are long. I mean, in this climate.
And sometimes I assume people leave and come back. I think some people leave a comment after they've watched it more than once. So, yeah, I mean, some of them are about 10 minutes and people are watching about 3 to 4 minutes of that.
Right. That's an eternity in social media land. 3 minutes.
Maybe. I still think on YouTube though, there are guys and girls that make content that people really do watch long percentages of. No, I think I don't accept like it's good enough. I think you can always, without like doing annoying stuff like I saw someone said, and some of this stuff that you see on social media is like fake and set up and that, but someone said, here's a video of like a college professor or university professor who's put on their virtual whiteboard in the classroom, half of it is like Temple Run or one of those mobile games, and the other half is the stuff that he's trying to teach because he thinks it's gonna like keep the students' attention.
Or
I don't know if that really happened or if they set it up so that would then also be a famous video, but
maybe. I mean, who knows, right? I've seen social media posts that are like that, where there's like those simple, Temple Run type of game that takes up half the screen, or like an ASMR type thing where someone's cutting through like a Jello or something, or like shaving soap, or which takes up half the screen, and the other to retain people's attention. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's getting weird.
Well, and then people's metric is not quality of attention, but just the black or white attention or no attention.
Yeah.
It's like, well, did that professor really want to keep everyone's half attention for the whole lecture?
Maybe it's like, well, half is better than none. Maybe that's the approach. But I always quote you when I say this to people. When they're working on something or they want to improve on something, and this is something that you are definitely a senpai in, really crafting these videos and just being reflecting on what came before and adjusting little by little and improving and amassing this huge following and hours and hours and hours of views now. And you always said, always leave room for improvement, which is so simple. And if somebody else said it, I'm not gonna quote them. It's gonna be forever a Ross McCallum quote in my book. It's so simple and it's so true, because we all get so caught up in, especially if you're someone who's interested in making content or any kind of creator, right? We get so caught up in the technology aspect or the how it's going to be framed or how it's going to look or even things like what will people think, or I have to get it perfect, I have to do 300 takes because that one note was like off, or and I think a certain level of perfectionism is needed, or that kind of being self-aware of what you produce. But that phrase, just leave room for improvement. Just always have like 20%. I think you said something like 20% or something like that, right? Before, just 20% wiggle room, and just allow yourself to make the mistake or mistakes, and then just apply the change in your next creation or your next iteration of whatever you're working on. And I think that's it's powerful, man.
Well, even hearing it come back to me, I think one additional thought I have is, if you don't leave a little room for improvement, or however you like to phrase it, someone else will find that room for improvement anyway. It's nice to just accept that either you can preemptively know what you're going to improve on next time, or blindly think it's perfect, and then either you or someone else will look at it later and go, it wasn't quite right, So
oh, you mean like someone else? Sorry, someone else will be like,
someone else could come and criticize it in a way that makes you feel a little worse about it, or they could go and do what you've tried to do better, and then you might start feeling upset. It's like a path to some kind of negative relationship with a thing that you've created. If you thought it was perfect, because you might later look at it and think it wasn't, and then kick yourself, and then you might someone else might find the key. A lot of products and innovations come from like, well, this company almost had it right, that company saw it, made it better. Maybe the company that almost had it right stopped looking for improvement because they thought it was perfect.
Or they got bought out.
Oh well, getting bought out's not that bad sometimes. Those guys are
just kidding. But so I mean, do you think that applies to what you've done and what you've created on YouTube?
Absolutely.
Being like, oh, these DVDs, man, I could do it better, and in better meaning maybe not the quality of the lessons, but the delivery format, the format of delivering the lessons.
Yeah, certainly. And maybe picking a format that isn't a physical format is more natural to someone with that point of view. Because maybe you don't want to keep re-releasing your DVD edition 3, edition 4, edition 5. Maybe that's more tiring than uploading something, uploading a newer version later.
Well, it's something that I think about a lot, or I will be thinking about a lot, since hopefully I'll continue this podcast. Hopefully it's not a flash in the pan type of thing. So I'll definitely be leaving room for improvement, and thinking about how to move forward and improve each episode. So that's another reason why I wanted to have you on. You're the godfather of this idea of leaving room for improvement. So I'll try to apply that to this series.
Makes it easier to promise to yourself that you are going to continue on with something if you know that you've made it even easier for you to feel like the next version is a little better.
It's
like a little growth hack or something.
For sure. Just switching gears. What are you doing lately? I mean, I kind of have an idea, but at the same time, I don't, because we haven't spoken in a couple months. What's going on? And give the listeners a little bit of an idea of where you've been the last few years, and by the way, I'm kind of bummed that the biography didn't mention me. It was like collaborations with, T-Cophony and like Aphex Twin, and I mean not collaboration with Aphex Twin, but like what gives, man? What's going on?
What if we not put? Maybe we've just put our names so much on live things together, but haven't put our name together on recorded things together that much.
That's true.
And maybe that's what it was pointing out. But
that's true.
As for projects, there's a little bit less live music happening for me at the moment, but there's still some writing. Like I've been doing this series of videos for 50 beginner grooves, 50 intermediate grooves, and they just came I was in the zone and I could just write them out. And I was surprised, like in an afternoon, I'd written this nice flowing set of 50 to 100 grooves where each previous groove builds up the necessary skills to play the next groove. So you should hopefully be able to flow through the whole thing. And that's a different style of YouTube video where it's just like a 30-minute continuous session that you're supposed to play through. And and that was also coming back to the idea of audience retention a little bit. Like I wanted to not play them slow, medium, and fast, because if you're not advanced enough to play the fast one, then that's a part of the video that you skip.
Right.
And if you're too advanced to play, you're never too advanced to play the slow one. But if you
the autocorrect mid sentence.
Well, what I meant, I mean, it's a little bit of a point that I like to make is that sometimes we feel like we're too good for the fundamentals and things like that. You know, people just go, show me how to play it faster, show me how to play it faster, and play it really rough. But the point is that in this video, you set the speed with the YouTube settings, so you can change the playback speed.
Interesting.
And you can change it to any percentage, So I thought, well, let's play it all at a medium tempo, and then maybe it's 100. Once you're starting to feel pretty good, go back to the start of that 30-minute video, and then bump it up to 115%, 115 BPM, and then play through it again. So for beginner and intermediate stuff, that's like a finished thing, but I need to do the advanced one. But the advanced one's tougher to write because I want it to be more challenging, but I don't want it to be too alienated from actual good musical ideas.
Right.
And that's what can sometimes
because it's
happen
never really, because a lot of people equate, fast as advanced, or super technical as advanced, and your definition of that is a little. I mean, obviously, you need a lot of skill to play fast and to play proficiently. But I guess I'm guessing you're referring to more groove-oriented things or feels, right?
Yeah, more advanced grooves and feels, and so it's taking a little more research, I think.
Sure.
I have to find musical stuff that I know is harder to play, but still sounds good, and then somehow reinterpret it a little bit so it's original, and then that it matches up well with the groove that came before it. It's like a big puzzle. It's a 50-piece puzzle. So
is that a lot?
Just writing.
I'm not a puzzle person. Is a 50-piece puzzle a daunting, one of those daunting ones? Isn't it like 1,000 or like 5,000 or something like that?
Yeah, if it was over 1,000, you'd be stuck on it. But if it's only 50, it's just the shapes of each piece are bloody weird, man. It's like
it's like a 50-piece puzzle. Uncle Ross is not very good at puzzles.
It shouldn't be that difficult. Yeah, but it's just taken forever, No, but I don't have it done yet.
Yeah, it sounds like a challenge, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. Just for people who are listening in, can you give us a little bit? You're currently in Australia. You're a little bit outside of Melbourne, if I'm correct. But you were in Tokyo prior to that. I mean, you're originally from Australia. Give us a little bit, of your kind of geographical movement of the last few years.
For the last few years, since say 2021, I would say my base was Australia, but I would revisit Tokyo pretty frequently. And then this year, traveling while working a little bit online was one of the things that I got to do this year. between March and June, so that was really good. And
Where were you? Where were
oh
you
yeah,
traveling?
sorry, that was through mostly Northern Europe. So spent a lot of time in Finland and Scandinavia, like Denmark, and went down to Italy for a little bit,
Nice.
and Germany and Switzerland. And so I got to have a really I guess it was like a extended trip with my wife, and we hadn't done something like that because we needed a little bit of our own thing, and we're both doing a remote job, so we could do it.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
it was
great.
really cool. Yeah.
That's cool. And then, so that's in the last couple of years. So you're originally from Australia. When did you? I mean, I know this, but just for others, when did you come out to Japan and start your adventure in Tokyo?
January. Yeah. And it wasn't until maybe July that year that I met you, I think. So I did meet you in the first year that I was there.
Oh, okay, okay.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that long, but in the first year of a completely new environment, it had felt like I'd been there a little while already, and now the perspective has shifted that much in the like six to 7 years or so that I was there as my base. Yeah, we spent a lot of that time together. Then there was a little bit of time where we were in different cities, and then I've been in Melbourne again. And then I'm looking forward to coming back again, hopefully at the end of this year. And
That's great.
We might be geographically closer again finally.
Yeah. So you guys are planning to kind of move your base to Tokyo by the end of the year.
November, yeah, something like
Oh,
that.
okay. That's
It's coming
that's
up
very
man.
soon.
It's very soon.
Yeah. I mean, how
Not-
do you
not
feel? How do
completely
you feel
prepared.
about that? Because I mean, I personally, I mean, you know this, but I also moved back with my wife to Kyoto, my hometown,
Yeah.
and then coincidentally, COVID happened, and my wife and I were both kind of stuck, I guess, in a house in Kyoto during those years, which turned out to be like 3. But how does it feel to be coming back? Like, I know some people might feel like, because I think you wanted to leave Tokyo for the next adventure, right? Whatever the next chapter was. It sounded like to me at the time, you and your wife were trying to figure out, okay, what's the next phase of our lives? How does it feel to be coming back? Because for some people it might feel like, oh, I got defeated out there and now I'm coming back. I'm coming back to where I'm comfortable. But at the same time, Tokyo's like one of the most amazing cities it's a great place to like fall back on for sure. But how do you feel about this kind of circular journey? Because I mean, technically you're home, right? You're in your home country right now, but
Yeah.
Tokyo must also
Yeah.
feel like a home as well.
For sure. I think the circular nature of what you described is very true. The doubts and kind of negative thoughts that can pop in were something that you had to, well, I guess I had to battle with it a little bit. But then, as you said, yeah, factually, Tokyo is just one of those places that is unlike anywhere else in the world. And if you spent more than just a year or something living there, it leaves probably a lifelong impression on you, and you can't shake yourself from how good it was in a lot of ways. I got an email from Japan Airlines because I've got a flight back booked. And it said it was like a marketing email.
Yeah,
but it had something
No,
about
the way you just said it sounded so official. I got an email from a Hone endorsement, deal.
that was just
Anyway.
just the automatic one. But
Yeah.
it said Tokyo, the world's most populous metropolis.
Populous metropolis. That's some
Populous metropolis.
90s hip hop shit right there.
I couldn't get the phrase out of my head
Yeah.
after hearing that. And then that was maybe part of
metropolis.
the most populous metropolis. I think that
That's
was
good.
a really good, a guiding phrase. Or sometimes you get something stuck in your head,
Yeah.
and it gets stuck in your head for some reason, and then maybe in this case it's because it just really resonates with you as a person.
I think it's because
And
it's rhythmical and it's like your head is just full of paradiddles and
maybe that's true.
flamadiddles.
Populous
So it
metropolis.
had nothing to do with
populous
like
metropolis,
the
populous
words. You're like
metropolis.
oh, there's populous metropolis, hanging on the decks in the Babadis, on the Manis, and you're just like
And the populous
grooving out to
metropolis.
yourself in front of
Yeah.
your laptop. That was while you were trying to finish off your 50-piece puzzle.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the pieces. Groove number 50 bracket populous metropolis.
There you go. That should be the name of your album.
I think it'll work. Yeah, we'll do some kind of urban sort of stuff with it. But maybe the reason it resonated so well with me is because I've always loved being in such a place, and I went there probably because I wanted to be in a big city. And you know, Japan also has the beautiful advantage of being close by mountains. So if you need an escape, you can go hiking.
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, being there for such a big period of my 20s also means that it's a big part of, you know, your identity in some ways as well. So you expect to go home and then think, well, now I'm home. But if you've shifted in more profound ways during a time of period that you can't really overestimate how much you would change,
Right.
then you arrive and go, oh, wasn't quite. There's nothing wrong with it. It's also
Right,
good.
right.
Like I
It's
also
good,
like
yeah.
I like being around family and everything as well. Been spending a lot of time with my grandpa and my grandma recently, and that's been really awesome. So the circular nature is that eventually you do kind of come back, but the time spent in that circle is not wasted time.
Sure.
It's all really valuable, I think.
Sure. You're like Frodo returning to the Shire and being like, man, there's just something's off.
Amiss.
And then you go off with the elves, which is
The
actually
Japan Airline elves to the populous metropolis.
yeah. It wasn't a large portion of the film, but in the book it kind of went on for a while about how Frodo felt very out of place after experiencing everything he had experienced everything he had experienced, you know, going to Mordor and all that stuff, which is apparently kind of an autobiographical thing with Tolkien. Tolkien was he came back from war and he went back to his hometown, but it was just like there's something about being among people who don't know what it's like out there, man. And maybe some hardcore Tolkien fans can fact check me on that, but apparently that's what's reflected in the arc of, you know, Frodo's journey. And also you've been talking about rings, circles and rings, so it's all you know, it all
does come together. Yeah. Did you feel that a little bit in Kyoto as well? Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
with
say
reference to the Lord of the Rings thing.
I live
Or
my
is it a
life
more
by
recent-
the Lord of the Rings. Like every day I think like who am I today? And it's usually Eric. But
Yeah, and maybe an interesting parallel as well is that your Kyoto place being kind of the suburbs, right, is similar to my Melbourne place being kind of in the suburbs a little bit as well. And so you do spend a lot of time just in your own space, a little closer to nature, and so the contrast is a little greater. Yeah, maybe we naturally kind of wanted that as a real reset. And then now that you're back in Tokyo? Is it like, I don't know, is it like your batteries are at a higher capacity? You know, do you feel like
Yeah.
you can do more than you used to be able to do?
I mean, I think that just comes naturally with having survived the first year of, I'm not going to say fatherhood, I'm going to say babyhood.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really tough year for my wife and I. The greatest and toughest, year of our lives. But this podcast ain't about babies. We can talk about that another time. But yeah, so it's interesting. We have these kind of parallel experiences, and yeah, to be quite honest, it feels really great to know that you guys are coming back. It kind of seems like the last piece of the puzzle. Oh man,
Tokyo shaped piece puzzle has to go in there.
50,000 piece puzzle. No, so that's great. Yeah, you were telling us a little bit about your projects right now. But what are some things once you get back? What are some things that you want to explore musically, work wise? Hobby. Like what are some things you want to? I know you're probably gonna want to eat a lot of ramen and soba and gasto. Because I know that's your jam.
Gusto was the jam for a while.
Oh no!
I've
Past tense.
Yeah,
Dude.
man, I can cook now.
Dude.
I can cook.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can cook, but I love a good cup noodle. Once in a while. Or what was it? Katsuya. If you remember Katsuya.
Yeah, that'll fill you up. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you'll be. Yeah, I know for sure. Being back in Tokyo will mean a lot of good food all the time, and at any time, right? So convenient and all of that. But musically, I definitely want to. If I'm coming back around November or so, I want to probably hit the Christmas gig circuit and start off with that. And then into next year, maybe try
Everyone
and
who's
start
watching this, hire Ross McCallum for your Christmas gigs.
I have some genuine sleigh bells to make the really really nice Christmassy sounds. It's good work. I like that.
No, sorry, I never. that was a sentence I never thought I would hear in my life. I got some genuine sleigh bells. That's good. Yeah,
it was good. I mean, the only way to make them better is to. That's what I should have done in Finland, man. I should have gone up to Santa's workshop.
Get some reindeer.
I should have borrowed some from Santa himself next time.
You believe in
Santa,
Santa,
next
bro?
year, Santa's a real guy, man. He lives in Lapland in Finland, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I do know somebody who, in
knows
their family,
Santa.
hired basically hired like a Santa to come to their house on like Christmas Eve and stuff in Finland. So it's in the middle of the raging snow and don't knock on the door, and it's like really cool stuff.
That's amazing.
The Christmas next year, I think we'll try and do some more. I do think it would be really good to start my own like original project where I write some music and hire some or collaborate with some other people to play things that I've made. And even talking to my grandpa recently, he was saying like, when is there going to be the Ross McCallum band with your music? And,
right.
And
which is just like so. It's like straight to the truth, right? It's like, when are we gonna hear Ross's music?
Grandpa grew up, I think, where there were a lot of drummer-led big bands and things, and so, and even now, I still occasionally will listen to music where the leader of the band is the drummer, and it's stuff where I think. Well, since Grandpa told me, I think I should explore it some more, and then maybe next year will be a good time to try and kick it off. I don't know.
That'd be sick. I mean, I think a lot of the jazz, like more modern jazz records that I really gravitated towards were led by drummers or bass players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're funkier.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration out there for me to maybe draw upon. But,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
So, so you got you're trying to hit the Christmas gig circuit, which is good, and then looking at next year, it's Ross McCallum project.
Maybe, yeah.
We should have a working band name for that. Populous Metropolis.
Populous Metropolis.
Come on,
All right.
man. That's gotta be the band name.
Title track, or at least track 1, Puzzle, and then
Track 2, Gusto.
Gusto.
No more Gusto.
Track 3, It's All Circular.
It's All Circular. Track 5, Frodo.
Frodo.
Track 6, Highball.
Highball. Okay.
Yeah. So that's we covered some kind of big life, kind of thematic stuff. What are some things that you went back to? How long have you been back in Australia this time? Minus your little trip.
Well, let's say it's kind of 3 years.
3 years.
And I've been out and back in
Right.
that time a little bit.
What are some things that you kind of rediscovered and that you'll feel like you're going to miss about your life in Australia? Because I know there's a lot of things we could think of, like, oh, I miss like takoyaki, bro, and
Yeah, I mean, the other night...
you know about the takoyaki bros?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. I'm just talking shit.
It's probably a good example, but yeah. Food is a good place to start because, like, there is always great food that tugs on the nostalgia engine.
In Tokyo,
nostalgia
right?
strings. Yeah, but even, I think, anywhere you go in the world, if you've eaten some really good food there, it becomes part of the thing that you might miss about certain places.
For sure. No, what I was saying was when what are things that you predict you will miss about Australia once you're here? I mean, obviously family and things like that, but just the more everyday day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, with family, I know I'll be able to come back and visit Australia. And for everyday stuff, barbecuing on your own balcony or something like that, where it's not that hard to have a little bit of space for your own personal barbecue setup. And just the other night, we bought some eye fillet steaks, and they're quite big, and didn't have to worry about anything. So good barbecuing is it's also possible, I know, in Tokyo, but you might have to do a little more planning, a bit more organizing. But here you can really spontaneously go, those steaks look good. The barbecue gas tank has some gas in it. Right. And then
it's a way of I mean, it's a part of life, right? It's like in Japan, it's like something you do in the summer, amongst barbecue pits, and you have an ice box and you're carrying shit. And the meat is like, like this.
Yeah. That's right.
No, so it's indoors and in air conditioning, yakiniku, right? It's there's smoke exhaust and all that. It's a different style.
And it's never just you and a couple of other people in your own space, surrounded by birds, and maybe it can be, but I know
really nice.
I know that I've been enjoying that a little bit lately, and that's one thing.
That's
the
very
list is always going to be too
Australian
long.
What are you going to miss about Australia? Barbies.
Barbies. I have grown up with really good barbecue stuff.
Yeah.
Like my parents' house is even further in the countryside.
Yeah.
And the barbecue was built by Dad brick by brick, and it's just like a little rectangular brick structure.
Yeah.
And the original hot plate for that barbecue was sourced from an old like sawmill circular cutting blade.
Yeah.
So big, kind of toothed,
Yeah,
sharp.
yeah.
Do not touch that thing.
The things that come out in Looney Tunes, right? It's like,
Yeah. So one of them was just on a neighboring property and had been thrown away or something, and Dad picked that up and scraped it and cleaned it, and maybe got some advice from someone because they'd also done it. So we had this like saw blade barbecue on like a home built brick structure.
So with the
outside.
blades like still with the ridges still on it?
Yeah, but tried to file them down so they wouldn't be like, dangerous anymore. But I always just thought the shape was just so interesting.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's good as well because you cook with the wood that you source from the backyard. If there's a particularly windy day, you've got a piece of wood down, you chop it up, and all that sort of stuff is what I can easily do when I go visit my parents' place out in the countryside. But yeah, those things, as much as you miss those things, you know that it's a flight and it takes you time and it takes you money, but what's on the other side of it is always very valuable either way. So
For sure.
I think I'm not going to worry too much about those things. Just yeah.
That's great. Well, I think I don't think this conversation is gonna. I think that was the peak. You an Australian in Australia talking about saw blade barbecue grills. So I think that's a good high point for us to kind of conclude this conversation on. But before we go, is there any kind of social media type stuff you wanna plug, or anything you wanna just mention, put out there into the social media scape?
If you watch one of my YouTube videos and search just my name, Ross McCallum, and watch one of my YouTube videos, maybe you'll have the impression that comments don't always get read, don't always get replied to, but I'm not very active at the moment on other social media. But if you leave a comment on any of my YouTube videos, I guarantee I'll reply. It can even become a conversation. So don't see any boundary to commenting. Conversation. Get that thread going. And that's the main thing. I think just come and talk to me on YouTube because you can.
I think you should give a prize to the first person who comments "Populous Metropolis" on one of your videos. I think they deserve some kind of prize.
First person to comment "Populous Metropolis," I will
on any one of your videos.
On any one of my videos, you will get a free membership to my channel for the members only videos. For I think I can gift a membership for a month.
Wow!
I have to start. If you start a live stream.
No! Wow! People who that offer. That's quite an offer.
Oh, no, it'd be good. Yeah. Hey. Populous Metropolis. Join the membership for a month. There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, get on it, guys. That's a free month membership.
Yeah.
To Ross's. Wow.
Cajon lesson stuff. Cajon Method 1.1.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for being the first guest on. What was the name of this podcast? My friends are awesome. The podcast. It became My Friends Are Awesome because My Friends Are Cool was already taken.
Oh, I like the podcast on the end. I think that's.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to make it into the official title, but I'm just saying that right now because it sounds nice.
Yeah. Are you going to have like the intro music and everything? Are you going to work on that? Put that in?
Yeah. I mean, what kind of musician would I be if I didn't make my own like music for my podcast? It'll probably just start off as background music, but yeah.
Okay. That'd be cool. See. I'm looking forward to hearing, what you do with it, what you put at the start, and how the slight bit of post-production, what happens to it in the end. It should be cool.
Yeah, it'll be an adventure. Again, thanks so much, and we'll be seeing you soon, man.
All right, catch you soon, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.